So I always am aware that it doesn't start right away, so I'm not gonna say anything for a little bit until, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. Okay, so let's just wait a couple more seconds to make sure it's starting okay. So, all right, so welcome. Today is June 21st, 2026. I mentioned in my previous live stream a couple weeks ago that I have to tell my stories, and so I was debating for so long, like when is the right time to do it, but finally today, if I don't do a live stream today, then I can't do it for a really long time. So I'm like, I have to do it today. So thankfully, here I am doing the live stream of one of the many stories that I need to talk about. It is my travel stories of 2026 so far. So we're pretty much at the halfway point of 2026, which is crazy, but legit, time is just always that fast. I've just come to, what's the word? I've come to accept, I've come to accept that time is always very fast. It's like 1 year feels like 1 second. And so that is just the reality, that time is too fast. So it's only half a year, right? But I have traveled abroad to 4 different countries already, which is crazy. And for the second half of this year, I have more traveling that I'm gonna do later, but that's story time once it happens. So let me just get started on my stories. So in February, the end of February, I went to Singapore, and it wasn't planned like a vacation or something. It was a sudden trip to go to Singapore. So what happened is that my brother, I have a younger brother, and his company is doing some kind of project where they sometimes have to go to Singapore to do stuff on this project. I wish I could explain what the project is. Like I don't want to say too many personal details about my family, since I don't have their permission to talk about it publicly. But even if I did know, sorry, what I mean by that. So I honestly don't know what exactly he's doing. So I am just saying vaguely, not only because it's his personal life, but I also don't know what exactly he's doing. So he goes on a business trip to Singapore, and it's to work on some kind of project with the Singapore people that he works with. So he tells me this, and the thing is, this kind of so how I need to organize my story. So he always knew he was going to go to Singapore because of course he's working on this project for a really long time. So he always knew that, but it's always last minute when they tell him you have to go on this business trip. So we knew he was going to go to Singapore one day, just didn't know when. And so with that in mind, I had a customer from Malaysia who bought something from me where I have to give it to her in person. And she knew that, the risk in that, either she meets me in Korea, or if ever I meet her in Malaysia, or if we meet in a different country, I don't know. But I told her it might be a really long time until who knows when we can ever meet each other so I could give you your item. But she really wanted this item, and so she's like, yeah, I'm willing to wait for as long as it takes, because I really want this item. And so I've been holding on to this item for her, and she's in Malaysia. But then my brother, I knew he was going to go to Singapore, and so I talked to the Malaysian customer, if you don't mind going to Singapore and meeting my brother, and he can give you the item. And she was very okay with that. It's the closest that could ever happen of giving her the item. So I'm like, great, let's do it. And so now finally, my brother tells me when he's going to Singapore, which is end of February, but he told me this 2 weeks beforehand. That's how last minute they are at telling him when you're going on the business trip. So I'm like, okay, great. So, let me talk to the Malaysian customer and see if we can work out of you guys meeting so you can give her the item. So one thing led to another, and as we were talking about it, it was gonna be difficult for my brother to meet her because of his job that he was doing in Singapore. And I mean, it's possible, but it just would be very complicated. And I'm like, yeah, yeah. And so as I was thinking about it, and the thing is, me and my brother, we have things that we can give to each other, that we can only give in person. So I was thinking of that. And then another thing that happened, I suddenly had a Singaporean customer where it would be good if I could give her items in person as well. Like I could ship it to her, but it would be a lot better if I could give it to her in person. So as one thing led to another, of all these things accumulating, I'm like, hey, wouldn't it just make more sense and be easier if I just go to Singapore? And I talked with my brother, I talked with the customers, and I told them, how much the fee would be of meeting me in Singapore and all that stuff. And then it's like, sure, let's do it. I'm like, okay, let's do it. So, my brother goes to Singapore which is a legit business trip, but then technically I now go to Singapore, which is kind of a business trip because I have to meet the customers to give them their items. So that happened. I go to Singapore. Now, here's the other thing that happened. As I was looking through flights, trying to find the best flights and times and whatnot, one of the flights going from Singapore to Korea, it has a layover in Malaysia. I'm like, I mean, it's a good deal. The thing is a good deal. I mean, what do I mean by that? It's a good price because it's a layover, right? But the thing is, the time is really terrible. Like I would have to meet the customer way after midnight because that's how bad the flight time was. But that's why the price was so good, right? But as I was thinking about this, I'm like, hey, to the Malaysian customer, you don't have to meet me in Singapore. Wouldn't it, of course, be easy? I actually can meet you at the Malaysia airport. And then she's like, yeah, that would be good. And like I told her, but it's going to be after midnight when you have to meet me. And she is totally fine with it. I'm like, okay, well, I guess this really works out, right? And so I go to Singapore to meet my brother and to meet the Singaporean customer to give her items. And then I take a layover from Malaysia back to Korea. In Malaysia, I could give the item to the Malaysian customer. So it all worked out like that. But now, here's where my crazy story happens, because even just saying it already is crazy, right? And so doing it on this trip was even more crazy, of course. And so is there anyone here that I know? I don't think so, but welcome to people that I don't know. But I am just going to be talking about my travel stories. Nothing, what's the word? I'm just talking, all right? So if you do not want to see me talking, you are free to leave, all right? But I hope I could meet some of my friends that I know through here, but if not, it's okay. So continuing on. So we're going to Singapore, right? And so from Korea to Singapore is nonstop flight. That was all good. I arrive in Singapore. I meet my brother, and it's all fine and dandy. And I'm going about exploring Singapore. And I can't say there was much to talk about. It's my second time going to Singapore. Yeah, it's my second time, so there's not a lot of tourist things I really wanted to do. Yeah, it was just okay. It was just okay. So I when I first went to Singapore last time, the trip was okay as well, but I was also thinking there's no need for me to go to Singapore a second time for a vacation. The first time I went was for vacation. So after that vacation trip, I was thinking, I'm good. I don't have to go to Singapore again for, it was just okay. Just Singapore is okay as a city. Yeah, personally for me, I don't think it was very fun as a vacation trip, but that's just me. And so the second time around, I'm like, yeah, it's all good. Singapore is just a regular city. Nothing I could really say that stands out to me in Singapore. But the thing is, like, I was, while my brother was working in Singapore, I was alone, just exploring around the area and trying out the food. But it was just very normal. I really have nothing special to say about that. But then a few days later, once the Singaporean customer was free to meet me, then we were able to hang out for quite a few days, as she was telling me, what are like the good things to do and whatnot. And it was fun because since she's a native Singaporean, she was you know, explaining to me things and recommending me things. And so that was nice because she was there as a native Singaporean to take me around. But still, I have to say, you know, it's just still normal. I can't say anything was like memorable because as I was looking back on that trip, I couldn't think of much stuff that I could really say was memorable. But the food in general was quite good. Nothing outstanding to me, but it was just good, you know, as is. And yeah, not much else I could say about it. Yeah. So I just consider Singapore as just a very regular city. Um, if anyone has been to Singapore and like recommends why they like it or things like that, feel free to let me know. But for me personally, didn't have much to really say about it, but it was just a fine city. That's it. So I spent a few days in Singapore, and now it's gonna be the wild time where I have to go through Malaysia and then come back to Korea. So first, my flight from Singapore to Malaysia was at 10 p.m. Not terrible, but it's 10 p.m., right? And so I remember my flight was delayed, and then I arrived in Malaysia airport. I'm pretty sure like 12:15. It was supposed to arrive earlier than the midnight, but because of the delay, like 12:15 or 12:30. And so at this time, once I land in the Malaysia airport, I'm talking with the Malaysian customer, like, oh, you know, it was delayed, but finally I'm here. And so talking with her about it, and then once, but the thing is, Malaysia, oh my gosh, so I was only in Malaysia for a layover for like 6 hours, I think, 6 or 8 hours, which is enough time to, you know, to meet the customer and catch my flight back to Korea. So I was all okay with that because layovers, you should have at least 4 hours to transfer. And so once I land in Kuala Lumpur airport, their system of the immigration of like, what do we call that? Like customs borders control. So their system was terrible. I couldn't believe it. So first I see the sign of like, this is my country passport. I had to go in this section. So I go there, and it's an electronic system of doing it. And so I do it, but then it tells me my passport is not able to go through this electronic system. And I'm like, okay. And so I try to find a staff to help me, but there was no staff near me. And I'm like, okay. And so I just go out and I try to find any staff. And so finally I did find a staff. She was just sitting there. I don't know what was her job, but she was just sitting there. And so I asked her, hey, it's not working. And her attitude towards me is like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, usually when you ask someone for help, it would be that normal kind of talking of like, yeah, let me help you, and like courteous, right? But she was like, I don't know, it was like she wasn't working. It was like she didn't care, and she was just zero customer service attitude. It was the weirdest experience to talk to a staff that legit was, I can't say it was rude. It felt rude, but it was just more like she didn't care kind of attitude. And it's just really shocking when you're working at the airport, right? And so she's like, just go over there, you have to fill that out, blah 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 blah. And she was just like, very very just really talking to me like she didn't care. You just go do that, and then it'll be fine. And I'm like, okay. And so I was already not feeling good that talking to a Malaysian airport staff, she was not giving me the feeling that it's gonna be okay, I guess. And also just didn't make me feel good. And so, okay, so I just go about it of what she told me. And then I talked to another staff that is there to help me. And that staff actually did feel like, customer service kind of feeling that, yeah, I'm gonna be helping you kind of feeling. But still, like, she couldn't help me too much. She just told me strictly what I needed help with. Like, she didn't like go a step forward to help me more. So she was just very very straightforward. Just, I asked her the question and she just only answered me. And so I'm just like, okay, that's fine. At least you're not like that person who was like really talking to me like nothing matters to her. And so I go about that, and I felt like everything was okay. And so I go through the electronic thing again, and then still it wasn't working. And I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. And so I go to the nearby staff, which is that I don't care worker staff, but she was the closest one, so I just go ask her. But also, you know, she knows my history, so I'm like, hey, I did what you said. I went to the electronic thing and it still doesn't work. And so now she tells me, okay, go to that line and you'll be talking to a person to help you go through immigration. And I'm like, okay, I wish I could have done that from the beginning, but whatever. And so now it's quite a short line. Not many people go there unless you have a really big exception to go there, and I'm one of them, right? And so yeah, so it was a short line, but I still had to wait a little because only like I think two people doing immigration. So yeah, so I still had to wait a bit. But then once I got to the worker and I told her my situation, I tried the electronic immigration, whatever that is, 2 times and it didn't work. And so I explained to her that, and then I just give her my passport and go about it. And so this immigration staff, she also was really not what's the word, she talked to me in a way of like you should know better. Like, I can't say it's being rude, it's just, I just wonder if that's normal, that Malaysian staff workers at the airport, they're so used to talking to people all over the world that they just have this attitude. Because outside of the airport, I didn't feel like they were this rude, and so it's only these people doing the immigration at the airport just felt so just not nice. Yeah, let's just put it, they just didn't feel nice. And so she's looking at my passport and like whatever the information, and she tells me like in a very like, you did this wrong. It was like that kind of attitude. So you did this wrong, so that's why the electronic thing didn't work. And I'm like, oh, I thought I did it correctly, but you know, so basically I just put a number, you know, my information, I accidentally did it incorrectly. But I looked over it and I thought I did it all correctly. But you know, this was after midnight and I was of course tired. It's very possible that's why I messed up and didn't realize it, even though I did double check it. But I was like, oh my gosh, you know, I said to the worker, I really thought I wrote it all correctly. But yeah, but she's looking at me like, it's like, yeah. So she was like giving me that attitude like, yeah, you did this wrong. And it's like, you know, just basically talking down to me. And I was like, wow, it's really not nice to deal with people that treat you like that, right? And so I'm just like, okay. And so she just tells me, yeah, for next time, just make sure you write everything correctly and then just do the electronic thing next time. And I'm like, okay. But I'm thinking in my head, I don't think I'll come to Malaysia again, because I do not like how these people are so not nice to you. So that ended as so, and she let me through, and I'm like, okay, great. And so I go out of there and I'm not in a good mood, but I know the Malaysian customer is waiting for me, so I'm just trying to forget about, you know, all these mean people that I talked to. And I go meet the Malaysian customer, and it was really nice. All my customers are all very nice people. If any of you guys are watching me, I don't know, but it's always really nice that I work with really nice customers. And so she was really, really nice to me. So of course I should not treat those airport staff workers as like all Malaysians are like that. Of course not. I think maybe it's just these airport staff, they are used to mean people, and so they want to be mean. I don't know, but I only keep it to like these airport staff workers were really not nice. And so anyways, Malaysian customer, I meet her for the first time in person. It was just a really nice fun time. And like I'm like also talking to her, how are you? Okay, it's now 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. I don't know, but it's like way past midnight. We are both delirious. And so I'm just like, you're so, you know, I just telling her like, you're so impressive that you don't mind meeting me at this hour. But she's like, I really want my item. Of course I was gonna come. And I'm like, okay. And so, you know, we're just chatting and having a good time. And then she says she does want to come to Korea one day. She doesn't know when, but in the near future, yeah, she does want to come to Korea. And I'm like, we have to meet up, yeah, once you come to Korea, just for fun, not for working, just for fun. I want to meet her. So yeah, any of my customers, whenever you come to Korea, if I have time, of course I want to meet all you guys. So just FYI on that. Barbara, oh my gosh, hello, how are you? Oh my gosh, I forgot that it's auto translating. I'm so sorry. One sec, I need to change this. Okay, now I totally forgot. I thought people were talking to me in Korean because I didn't recognize their name. Sorry, but no, now, but everyone was not saying anything. Then yeah, just people saying hi to me. And so hi again, everyone. Okay, so I'm talking about my travel stories, and right now I'm talking about Malaysia. And I was only in Malaysia for a layover from Singapore going to Korea. And so anyways, yeah, I'm in Malaysia for this layover, and I meet the customer, and it was just a really, really nice time. So she really cheered me up from those really mean airport workers. And so now I have to go back through security and then back through immigration as well. You know, now I'm leaving the country, so I do that. And I was worried, you know, if this immigration worker was going to be mean to me again, right? I'm leaving the country, and so I just wonder, just preparing for anything, you know, what's going to happen. And so I go through the immigration process, and it's another electronic thing, right? But I'm like, what is, you know, what is it gonna say? You know, it's not gonna let me in again. And so I go through the electronic thing, and no surprise, it says it's not working. And I'm like, no surprise. And so I talked to a staff nearby. I can't remember, but I do remember it wasn't like a super mean one like it was earlier. But staff just told me, oh, just go to that side, and I'm just like, okay, you know, just very like normally, just talk to me normally, just go to that side. And so I had to meet with a person to process my immigration stuff, and I'm not sure what he said, but yeah, he told me something. But I think there was something about me leaving the country, like he had to ask me questions. So I think that's why the electronic thing didn't work, because he had to ask me these questions to make sure that I'm okay leaving Malaysia. So he was asking me those things, and I'm like, yeah, all good. And then he's like, okay. And then yeah, but this guy was really nice. So thankfully, this immigration worker leaving Malaysia, he was not, you know, talking down to me or being rude to me, but also he wasn't saying to me like, oh, you did something wrong. But I don't know. But anyway, so he's like, okay, you're all good. Yeah. And then he let me through. And so going from Malaysia to Korea, it was, I think, an 8 a.m. flight. So yeah, I was all night, no sleeping, of course, but I was okay. But on the flight from Malaysia to Korea, I did nap as much as I could. And the flight overall was not bad, as I can remember. Yeah, as I can remember. Yeah, the flights were not bad. So I managed to sleep, which was fine. But still, once I got to Korea, what time did I land in Korea? Maybe 1 p.m. afternoon, lunchtime. I'm pretty sure. Okay, so anyways, so it was like afternoon time, and so I come back to my house, I don't know, around dinner time. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, around dinner time. And I was just so exhausted, but I did eat a little, of course, and then I just passed out. And so, oh my gosh, but I landed in Korea on March 1st. So March 1st is Wano's birthday. And so on that day, I wasn't in Korea. Legit, I wasn't. By the time I got to my house, his concert was already over. So I'm like, yeah, what can you do? You know, I booked this flight before Wano's concert was announced. So that was sadly my bad luck, but it's okay because I spent all my money on this trip, and so I saved money not going to his birthday concert. But of course I was sad. I think it's his first time doing a birthday concert, but just luck didn't happen. But you know, when I booked these tickets and coming back March 1st, I wanted to believe he wasn't gonna do anything. So that's why I'm like, yeah, it should be fine. I'll come back March 1st. It's no big deal. But no, turns out he did do something, and I was just like, man, if only Wano, you announced this just a few days later. I think he announced it just a few days after I booked my tickets, and I'm just like, Wano, but it's okay. It's okay. Because the thing is, I'm not sure if I would have been okay changing. I mean, so I'm saying if I knew Wano's concert before booking my tickets, I'm honestly not sure if any other dates would have been better for me to come back to Korea. I'm not sure, but we may never know. But it is what it is, and so that's why I had to miss out on Wano's birthday concert on March 1st. But what can we do? And so I come back to Korea on March 1st. I pass out for like 2 days. I'm pretty sure I did. And then I was going back to normal, but I remember in March I was still struggling a lot. I can't remember why. But I just remember it was a tough month for me. Like after I came back from this exhausting trip. Yeah, I remember it was tough on me. And so anyways, but I'm fine. But that was definitely an exhausting trip. But guess what? I just went through another exhausting trip recently, and I will get to that conversation very soon. Barbara asked me, how long is it? What do you mean? Like, how long was, tell me specifically, what do you mean? So let's move on. Okay. So now, It's my trip where I went to Hong Kong and China. So this happened end of May. Oh, Barbara says that's okay. I was surprised he did a birthday live. Yeah, yeah, but no. The thing is, he always does a birthday live. I thought he would, but then again, are you saying because he did the concert, maybe he wouldn't do the birthday live? No, I wouldn't believe that. I always believe, no matter what, they will always do a live on the birthday. I mean, honestly, Shawnu's happy belated birthday a couple days ago. I knew that he wasn't in Korea, but I'm still not up to date with Monster X stuff as much as I used to. But I was aware that he wasn't in Korea, and I'm like, I wonder if he was gonna do a birthday live or not. But yeah, I wonder. But they actually did one, an informal one on berries. Not like, decorations or anything like that, but I appreciate that at least did something rather than nothing. And so I really wondered, yeah, would he celebrate his birthday not being in Korea? But just sadly, he's not gonna have all the fun decorations and stuff like that. And so now he's back in Korea, but they don't do a belated birthday party for him. But it is what it is, right? It is what it is. But at least I'm glad Shawnee did something rather than nothing. And so anyways, for Wano, even with a concert, I still wanted to believe he would still do a birthday live, and he did. Yeah. So talking about my next trip, I went to Hong Kong and China together. Now, this happened end of May, and I talked about it a lot in my past live stream, and so I'm just gonna get to the story of just only what happened during my travel time. So first off, why did I go to Hong Kong and China? So keep in mind that I have a Chinese friend, and this Chinese friend currently lives in Korea. So she's basically like me. I'm an American living in Korea, but she's a native Chinese person living in Korea. So we meet in Korea, and her English is fantastic. And in my opinion, her English is great, and her Korean language as well, really good. And so anyways, her name is Hua Hua. Not her real name. That's not her real name, but I want to give her a nickname because I don't know how she feels about me talking about her on my YouTube channel. So her name is Hua Hua. So when I say Hua Hua, that's talking about my Chinese friend. So me and my Chinese friend, we've known each other for a very long time now. So ever since I moved to Korea, I've known her. I feel like I've known her since then. And so we've been friends for so long, and just I always had this in the back of my mind because she's a native Chinese. Hua Hua, we should go to China one day. Why don't we? Wouldn't that be so fun? And so I just say that randomly to her a couple years ago, and she's like, yeah, sure, we could if it works out when we can both go to China. And I'm like, yeah, I think it'll be so fun. And so the thing is, as an American, you have to have a visa to travel to China. And I was always looking into that tourist visa, but I always debated about it because it's so expensive. Number one, it's so expensive. Number two, you have to prepare a lot of documents for it. Like, why does a tourist visa have to be so complicated? But for some reason, China does, right? So there's a lot of documents I have to give them. And then a third thing that I just found out recently, because I'm ethnically Chinese, they want me to put in more documents just to make sure my parents are not Chinese citizens. And so I'm just like, oh my goodness. And so it's for me as an American and who is ethnically half Chinese, it's very difficult for me to even get that tourist visa. And so as I was thinking about it, if I could ever go on a trip to China, but I'm like, I really do want to go to a trip to China with my friend one day. I don't know when, but I was very determined that one day, like a bucket list, that's how high it was for me, that I really want to travel to China with my friend Hua Hua one day. And so as that was always in my mind, but nothing was ever really progressing on us going to China one day, I just always say to her, one day, Hua Hua, one day it will happen. And so last month, May, we were talking, so I should probably say more before that. So end of March, I got into Chinese dramas. If any of you guys heard my past live streams, I've been really into Chinese dramas for a couple months now. And Hua Hua, she's always been a fan of Chinese dramas. I mean, she's Chinese, but not every Chinese person likes Chinese dramas, of course not, but she particularly is super into Chinese dramas and stories. And so she did in the past, sorry, one second. So she did in the past try to get me to watch Chinese dramas or read novels, but then I'm like, I don't know, it doesn't seem like my style. But she's not the type of person to really push me to do something. But she always just like, I was just into this story and I just wanted to tell you about it. I'm like, okay, okay. But she knows I'm a very, very big K-pop fan, and so she probably has that feeling, oh, she's too into K-pop. She's probably not gonna like these Chinese stories and stuff. And so I always felt that way about her whenever she would sometimes mention to me about it. But then just suddenly in March, like right after I came back from my Singapore Malaysia trip, I just suddenly say to her, hey, I'm just for some reason I'm interested in Chinese dramas. And then she's like, oh really? And so she's really excited, and she recommends me these Chinese dramas, and I'm just like, okay, sure, let's give it a try. And so it's me that started it. I, for some reason, was just randomly curious. I can't say it was random. Was it random? Was it? So the thing is, I really liked reading these Chinese comics, and so I recently got into that. I was reading a Chinese comic that like really, really like hurt me, and it made me cry. Like I was, and then so I say this to Hua Hua. I say to Hua Hua, recently I just read a Chinese comic, and it really affected me. And she's like, really? And so when I told her that, I think that's when it got into like she recommends that I should read these other Chinese novels and get into these Chinese dramas. So I think that's how the conversation started. I technically started it, right? But I don't know why I suddenly wanted to read Chinese comics. Legit, I had no reason. I just was curious, just randomly was curious for some reason. So anyways, so she recommends me these dramas. And the first one we watched together was Love Between Fairy Devil. And I keep mentioning it, guys, it's really good. Or it's on Netflix. And so we watched that together, and I really, really enjoyed it. And then after that drama, I felt pretty miserable. I don't know how to explain it, but like the ending was fine. It's not something that would make you miserable, but for some reason after I watched that drama, I felt really weird. I'm like, I don't know why I feel this way. And so as I was trying to get over my feelings and like trying to think of like what to do, it's like I do want to watch another Chinese drama, but I felt too miserable after I finished Love Between Fairy and Devil. And so as I was trying to get into other dramas, like Hua Ho was recommending to me other dramas that maybe can make me feel better, but I'm like, no, girlfriend, these dramas are not helping me. I don't know what's wrong with me. So we were trying to figure out how to help me get out of this misery for some reason. And so suddenly on Twitter, I just see people recommend this Chinese drama called Lost You Forever. I don't know why that was in my Twitter feed, but it was just suddenly just popping up for me. And I'm like, should I try this? And so the thing is, the title is terrible, right? Lost You Forever. Of course it's going to be a sad one, right? And so I already feel sad over finishing Love Between Fairy and Devil. So I'm thinking, this is going to make me more sad, doesn't it? But but my thinking at the time, because I was just not feeling good after finishing Love Between Fairy and Devil, I'm just like, what can be worse, right? Maybe I need to fight fire with fire, So I'm like, in my misery, I'm just like, hey, Hua Hua, do you know Lost You Forever? And she said, yes, I know that drama, but I do not recommend it. And I'm like, wait, why do you not recommend it? And so she just tells me it's just gonna ruin your life. It's a crazy story, and it's gonna ruin your life, basically. And I'm just like, well, Hua Hua, I already feel terrible. What's one more drama? It's whatever. Let's just try it and see what happens. And so she was really hesitant about it, but I'm like, okay, let's try it. And I'm like, okay. And so I watched the first episode. So guys, Lost You Forever is on Netflix, and so I'm not gonna be spoiling. I just don't want to spoil, okay? And so I will talk about it as carefully as possible. And so we watched the first episode, and it's terrible. I can't tell you why it's terrible, but I personally was like, what kind of drama has this as their first episode? It's terrible. And I'm just like, Hua Hua, what is going on with this story? Why is this the first episode? Just why? And I'm just like, I personally would not keep watching because of this first episode. But then Hua Hua tells me, no, you have to keep watching. I know that was terrible, but no, that will not happen again in future episodes. And I'm just like, why? Why would this drama do that? And so I'm just like shocked. I'm just shocked, right? But Hua Hua like really reassures me, watch the next episode. I swear it gets better. I'm like, okay, I will trust you. Like, I'm really glad you watched it beforehand so that you can tell me this. So, oh my gosh. So, so right now it's 10 p.m. in Korea, and Monster X Twitter account, I see the notifications. Gion's next solo album. Okay, we'll talk about that later. So back to my story. Lost You Forever. First episode was so terrible, but thanks to my friend, she tells me, don't worry, watch the next episode, it's gonna get better. I'm like, you better be right. All right, if she didn't tell me that, I would have not kept watching Lost You Forever, because that first episode is terrible. And if any of you guys have watched it, you'll understand why I say this. All right, so I really hate the first episode of Lost You Forever, but we need to know it for the story. That's the thing. But I really, really hate that first episode. And so thanks to Hua Hua, she tells me, watch the second episode. And so we watched the second episode, and it really gets better. Thank goodness. So if it wasn't for Hua Hua, I wouldn't have kept watching Lost You Forever. So thank you, Hua Hua, that she's the reason for all this. And so we keep watching Lost You Forever, and I'm hooked. I'm hooked. The story is really good. And as we kept watching it, I was forgetting about how sad I was about love between fairy and devil drama. So it did work. Lost You Forever was finally the drama to help me feel better. But as we kept watching it, I felt like, oh my gosh, yeah, this story is gonna ruin my life. So I can see it. I haven't finished the story yet. So I'm reading the novel first, and then I'm gonna finish the drama. So I only watched half of the drama up until this point. And the novel, I have 20% of the novel left. I'm almost done, and so I need to finish that soon. And so anyways, Lost You Forever is a great story, but it really ruins your life. I didn't even finish it yet, but it's already ruining my life. And so just FYI about that. Chinese dramas, the stories they tell in general, it's crazy. I don't know how they're able to think up these stories. They're crazy, all right? And so I'm really enjoying it. So me and Hua Hua, we've been talking back and forth about these dramas and stories ever since end of March. And so I told her randomly, yo, girlfriend, I really love these Chinese dramas so much. One day, I think I feel more that I really want to go to China now. Like I keep telling you, we got to go to China one day, but now that I'm into Chinese dramas, I feel even more desire. I would love to go to China one day. And she's like, yeah, I understand you. Like she's Chinese, but she's like, after getting into these Chinese dramas and stories, she as well like feels excited going to China and like seeing things about the dramas and stuff. So I'm like, yeah, Hua Hua, if we can make that happen this year. We are both the year of the horse. So this year of the Chinese zodiac calendar is the year of the horse. Me and Hua Hua are both year of the horse. I'm like, if we can go to China when it's our year of the horse, wouldn't that be so meaningful? And so I just felt like in my mind, it's like, it would be so awesome if we could go to China this year. So I was really hoping for that. And so as I was thinking about that, I'm like, well, let me look into the visa. I can't go to China without a visa. So if I really do want to go to China, let me look into the visa. Even though, you know, nothing's happening yet, but I look into the visa. And recently, like last year, they changed up the rules. And it's the tourist visa is still difficult to get, but the transit visa, so I talked about it in my last stream, the transit visa is a lot more easy to get it as an American, and the other countries that need to get it. And so for American transit visa through China, it got a lot easier. And I'm just like, okay, I think it's possible that I could go to China and not have to deal with that tourist visa, but instead do this transit visa. I think it's possible. And so I just had that in mind, just wondering whenever me and Hua Hua would go to China, that I would just have that in mind, that I think would be possible for me to go. Yeah. So anyways, at this time, we're still watching all these dramas together, Lost You Forever, and just chatting, and now reading the novel. And like, she's already read the novel. She, you know, so we're just chatting, and like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, about everything. And so as we're going about our lives, we don't watch, you know, the Chinese stories 24/7, of course not, but we're going about our normal lives as well. And so Hua Hua, beginning of May, tells me, I think we can go to China. And I'm just like, hold on. So I'm like, Hua Hua, what? So this happens beginning of May. She tells me this. So basically something happened in her life where she can take a trip to China. And so she tells me, would you want to go to China? And I'm like, okay, so first off, she wasn't confirmed yet. So she had to get her life in order first. So once her life was all good, then she can go to China. And so I'm like, okay, Hua Hua, once it's confirmed, once, you know, whatever you're dealing with right now, once it's all good and 100% we can go to China, let me know. And so she just puts that idea in me first because she still has things to figure out. So that's beginning of May. Now into the last week of May. This is when she got everything settled about her life. And she tells me, do you want to go to China? Like, it's 100% confirmed. We can go to China if you can go too. And I'm like, okay. I was prepared, but not prepared at the same time because it was always up in the air. Maybe we could go to China, maybe not. It all depends on Hua Hua's situation, if she was able to do it. So it finally is happening. I was prepared and not prepared at the same time, but I'm like, okay, let me see if it's even possible because it's really last minute. Like, she only has a couple days that she is able to go to China. So can I even go? And so we had to research everything. I had to look into the transit visa. I had to look into planes. All this stuff. Is it really all possible? So legit, it only took one day. So we took 1 day planning. And in order to do this China trip before Hua Hua has to go, like, you know, with her limited days, we had to leave the next day. So I'm like, Hua Hua, this can only work, you know, based on scheduling and these prices and whatnot. It can only work if we leave tomorrow. And then I'm like, are you okay with this? And then she's like, yeah. And I'm like, and she's like, you know, am I okay with this? And I'm like, in all honesty, yeah, I could. It's crazy, but I could. And so this is the most last minute trip I've ever done in my life. I booked my flight and I had to leave tomorrow. So I'm like, oh my gosh, but we did it. I researched everything about that transit visa to make sure I could do it okay. And so that's how I did the transit visa to go to China. I first had to fly to Hong Kong. At Hong Kong to China, then China to Korea. It allowed me the transit visa to do it. I had people that doubted me. If you guys watched my last live stream, I had those people doubt me, but in the end I did it all correctly. If you guys ever want advice on how to do the transit visa through China, I'm an expert now, so ask me anytime. So I went through all of that, and now let's talk about the travel story. So I packed as quickly as I could. I got ready to catch a flight the next day. Now the thing is, the Hong Kong flight was at 2:30 a.m. Yes, I did. So I got it at 2:30 a.m. Not only was it like the best price, but there were other times that were better and still good prices, but I wanted to get to China and make the most of the China time that while I'm there, along with having to do a layover. It was best that I had to get the 2:30 a.m. flight, and also to make it to my flight going to Shanghai in time as well. So I leave Korea on a flight at 2:30 a.m. I think I slept on the plane. Did I? I think I took a short nap. I think I did. So I took a short nap. And then I land in Hong Kong at 5:30 a.m. Now the thing is, Hong Kong is 1 hour earlier than Korea. So I left Korea at 2:30 a.m. but then I landed at 6:30 a.m. Korea time, which is 5:30 a.m. Hong Kong time. So I go back in time 1 hour, and Hong Kong and China is the same time zone. So I'm like, okay, it's 5:30 a.m. but my flight to Shanghai is at 12 p.m. Yeah, it's 12 p.m. But but I intentionally wanted a long layover like that. 6 hours is nothing. If it was shorter than 4 hours, it would make me nervous. So I always like to have more than 4 hours before catching my next flight, just in case, you know, there's delays and who knows, at the airport if something happens that delays me. So 6 hours, at least 6 hours is what I prefer. in between flights. So I knew this. Yeah, I have a lot of time before I catch my flight to Shanghai. And so I just went around I just went around the Hong Kong airport. I've been to Hong Kong now 3 or 4 times. Yeah, it's now my 4 or 5 times now that I think about it, because the first time I went to Hong Kong was when I was in middle school. Yeah, so a couple times now. Okay, so I definitely have been there a couple times, but I've been there a couple times as an adult as well. So let's say this is probably my 5th time. So I'm all good, and I only have to stay in the airport. And in Hong Kong, if any of you guys go to Hong Kong, usually everyone knows English, so you don't have to worry about the language barrier. But the thing is, since I look Chinese, people talk to me in Cantonese. So in Hong Kong, their dialect is Cantonese. So they would speak to me first in Cantonese, and I know some Cantonese, and so I'm like, oh cool, I could practice my Cantonese. But the thing is, when I was talking Cantonese with a person taking my order, she saw that I was struggling, but I was speaking okay, but she saw that I was struggling, and so she would talk to me in English, and I'm like, yeah, I could talk to you in English, but I'm thinking, this is my only time to use Cantonese. I should keep talking in Cantonese to practice it. And so I just kept talking in Cantonese, and then she would switch back and forth talking to me in Cantonese or English. And I was like, it's all good. I just really wanted to practice it. And so yeah, so I thought that was very interesting to practice my Cantonese. What's something interesting? So Hong Kong recently made a second terminal, and so my flight coincidentally was coming out of this new terminal, and so I got to see how it looked like. It's nothing super special, but it's pretty nice and clean, and they have like these digital screens where it looks like an aquarium. So they make it kind of fancy, but it's nothing like super amazing. But still, I was honored that I got to see their new terminal because they just recently opened it, and so I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. So I did that. And yeah, and then I was just shopping around the airport. I got some food. It was all good. Yeah. I always like Hong Kong food, given my dad is from Hong Kong, and even when I was living in the United States, I ate Hong Kong style Chinese food a lot, and so it was all good and just very nostalgic. I'm like, that's cool. And so right before going to China, I get to enjoy the Hong Kong style and stuff, and then talking in Cantonese. So I thought that was pretty cool, and so I did that for 6 hours, and then going to China, Shanghai. And so here's the thing. Yeah, of course I did not sleep. All right, so I left Korea past midnight, and then all morning until my flight to Shanghai. Yeah, of course, I do not have any proper sleep yet, but the only sleep I got was just short naps on the plane. But for some reason, I was okay. I think it was just the adrenaline that was getting at me. So yeah, so that happened. And so anyways, but I was okay. Thankfully, just as long as I didn't miss any flights, I didn't do anything incorrectly, about the documents and, doing the transit visa. Thankfully, everything went fine, even though I had zero deep sleep in me. But I somehow got through it okay, and I want to believe it was pure adrenaline. So yeah, I do not recommend it. That's the thing. I do not recommend doing it if you don't feel physically and mentally able to do such difficult things like that. But I had to do it in order to go to China. And so I want to say for the first time, it's worth it. But for the second time, would I do that again? I can only do that if like I really, really have to go to China for some reason. So at least I know it's possible for me without a tourist visa. But yeah, I would only go through something that crazy for some reason if I really have to go to China. But I really don't think that will ever happen. But that's it has to be that big for me to go through that again. Okay, so yeah. So Hong Kong layover was all good, and now going to China. So now I'm in China, Shanghai. So welcome to China. When after I got through the immigration stuff, listen to my last live stream of what happened to me once I landed in Shanghai airport. Once that got all settled and I got my transit visa sticker in my passport, finally everything felt real. I'm legal to be in China. I can't believe this. And so it just felt like a dream ever since I got approved to travel in China. So I get out of the Shanghai airport, and Hua caught a flight earlier than me, so she was already waiting for me. And so I try to find her, and I see her there, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, we're both in China for the first time together, me and her first time. So I was just too excited. This feels like a dream. And so legit, the whole time I was in China, I felt like the entire time I was dreaming. It just felt so unreal to me. So let's start this dream vacation I was on. Okay, but let me read your comments before I talk about China. Okay, one second. Barbara says, that's why you have berries. I mean, why would you not have berries, right? Yeah, so you got to see it. That's good. Barbara says, I forgot about Gian's album. So the thing is, I was aware that Gian said his solo album was going to come out eventually. We don't know when, but he kept saying, yeah, it's going to come out eventually. Like Ju Honey's solo album was beginning of this year. Then we have Seonu and Hyungwon just last month, right? And so I wondered, okay, the next guys, I mean, would it be soon? Will it be later? But shockingly, wow, so they announced it now, 1 month after Seonu Hyungwon, that Gian's next solo album is gonna come out. So let's talk about that later. I know you guys are aware of, I have a new guy in my life. You guys remember that? So let's talk about that after I finish my stories. Okay, so 1 second on that. But what crazy timing! I decided to do a live stream today, and this is when they announce Gian's album. Very funny, but but maybe good timing so I could talk about it with you guys. So 1 second. Barbara says she will try to watch what? What do you mean? My dramas? Okay, the Chinese dramas. Okay. So Barbara, let me tell you about those dramas I watched. Love Between Fairy and Devil and Lost You Forever. Now the thing is, I do recognize they're not everyone's taste. So I want to warn, if you guys do not like angst, all right, if you are not a fan of angst, you most likely are not going to like it. All right, so if you do not like angst, then I do not recommend it. But if you are okay with angst and you don't mind, being in the angsty mood, then I would recommend these two dramas. And then another thing is that the story is very complicated, and there are people that do not like complicated stories. I do recognize that, but for me, the story is complicated, but it's amazing. So I feel like it's a great combination, because I do not like a complicated story if it's not a good story, but these stories, they're complicated and they're amazing. And so I also want to warn that as well. If you really do not like complicated stories, then sadly, these are not dramas for you. So I do warn about that. So if you're not into those things, you don't have to watch it. And I totally understand, all right? And so as long as you don't mind me spoiling the stories, if you guys for real don't plan to watch it, because if I spoil for you, you never can watch it because the spoiling is just too big. It's too big of spoiling that after I tell you, why would you even watch it after I just spoiled the whole story for you, So, and you wouldn't enjoy it if you already know what's going to happen, So as long as you know that and you really don't mind me spoiling, yeah. So I just want to warn you guys, if you do go watch Love Between Fairy and Devil, Lost You Forever, I do have to warn about that. And yeah, well, okay. That's what you used instead of a tourist visa. Yes, Barbara. So I used a transit visa, which is only given if I'm going from one country through China into a different country. That's the only requirement, is that you have to show that you are clearly using China to transit to a different country. And that's how I did it from Hong Kong, China, and Korea. Excuse me. Excuse me, so sorry. That's crazy short notice. I know, Barbara. Have any of you guys ever bought a ticket one day before? Have any of you guys did? My first time ever. But I still can't believe that flights were even available. But I think it's because we were so lucky it was not high season. I think summer months, usually they will be sold out very quickly and be very expensive, right? But it seems end of May is really low season. Why would anyone be traveling? I agree. Why would anyone be traveling? But me and Hua are one of them. And so I think that really worked to our favor, how we were even able to go on this China trip because of low season. Flights were available. Prices were not bad. So it felt like destiny in some sense. Yeah. Hong Kong for sure. If you ever go, girlfriend, yeah, you do not need a visa to go to Hong Kong, by the way. As a USA citizen, you do not need a visa to go to Hong Kong. So if you ever want to go, you should go. It's really fun. and you would have to have someone with you. Of course, girl, I never want to travel alone. I honestly don't recommend it unless you really have good confidence to travel alone. But no, yeah, for me personally, no matter where I go, I wouldn't want to travel alone. What did you guys do first? Oh yeah. I'll talk about my China trip in 1 second. The drama, yeah. So you meant the drama, yeah. And you do not mind angst. Okay, if you don't mind angst, then go ahead and try out those dramas. Okay. And then Barbara says, no, I need months in advance. I get you. That's normal. That you should have months in advance before you go on an overseas trip. Of course. And just me and Hua are just crazy. But then again, China is not that far away from Korea, so I think that's also an advantage we had. But of course, I don't recommend it, all right? But you know, if things happen and you gotta book last minute, it is what it is. But thankfully we were able to do it so last minute. I still can't believe it. It's just still unreal to me that everything worked out for us to go to China that last minute. So anyways, we're in China and I'm in this dream-like state. And also I did not get sleep for 24 hours. So I'm losing my mind, and so I'm mainly relying on Hua to make sure that we get to our hotel. So we land in Shanghai airport, and from this airport to go to our city that we want to go to is called Hengdian. So Hengdian is about two and a half hour train ride. It's a fast train, by the way. It's a fast train, but it takes 2.5 hours. So from Shanghai airport, it's pretty quick to get to the Shanghai train station, and so that was all good. Thankfully, it was close by. So from the Shanghai train station to Hengdian train station, 2.5 hours. So we still had more traveling to do, right? Now the thing is, trains do not run like every hour or I don't know how often they run. I'm sure it changes every single day. But by the time we got to the train station and we looked at what available trains to go to Hengdian, the what do we call that? Sorry, the soonest one. Yeah, the one that's happening the soonest. Sadly, the soonest train was gonna leave 2.5 hours by the time we got 2 to 2.5 hours, something like that. We had to wait 2.5 hours until the train leaves from Shanghai to Hengdian. So the train ride is 2.5 hours. And before we can even get on the train, we have to wait another 2.5 hours. So that's total 5 hours it took us to go from Shanghai to Hengdian. Right? So I was losing it, but it's okay. At least I had a friend with me to make me stay awake, but I was really losing my mind at this point. But it's okay, because the first meal we ate in China was at the train station, and the first meal we had is a chain restaurant that is from Hua's hometown. So she's like, oh, this is food from my hometown. I'm like, that's so cool. And so I was like, we have to eat it. And so I was really excited. That gave me energy. So the first meal we ate was food that's from her hometown. And I was like, girl, this is pretty good. I was really impressed. Her hometown food was pretty good, so I really enjoyed it. And so yeah, we just enjoy that food together. And of course, Hua loves it. It's her hometown food. And so that was really lucky. This was at the train station. And then after we finished eating, of course, we still had a lot of time to kill. So we're like, let's just walk around. Let's just see what's here, blah, blah. And yeah. So we're just walking around, and we're seeing ads. And so there's lots of ads everywhere, of course. And then I'm like, do you think my favorite Chinese actor, will we see him? But sadly, we did not see his ad in this train station. But we did see other actors that I know ads in this train station. Then we were talking about them. I'm like, interesting. And I wonder how come my guy is not here. But it's okay. I've seen his ads later, and I'll talk about that later. So anyways, at least in the train station, yeah, that was how we killed time. So we're talking about the ads and just talking about our lives and just, whatever, until finally we get on the train. And so while we were on the train, I was able to take a quick nap. I didn't think I would, but I was able to take a quick nap. But the thing is, I sat next to Hua on one side, and then a stranger was sitting next to me on the other side. And the stranger next to me, it was a female. She was playing, she was watching videos on her phone, but she wasn't using earphones. She had it on loud, so everyone could hear it. And so I'm just like, and so that woke me up for my nap. And I'm just like, Is this normal that someone in China would think that's okay? I'm sleeping right next to you and you think it's okay to play your video? But I didn't say anything and I didn't ask the Hua, is this normal or not? It's just sometimes some Chinese people, because I've been used to Chinese people and Chinese culture when I was growing up, and so I just had that thought in me, like, yeah, some Chinese people could be rude like this and they don't care about the surroundings, and so I just accepted it. Yeah, this could happen. So just FYI, that's kind of sometimes you would run into Chinese people that would do things like that. Yeah, that they do not feel considerate enough, like there's someone sleeping next to you and you're playing videos on your phone and not wearing earphones. Yeah, it happens. And so I was just like, interesting, on my first day in China and I see this, but what can we do? But anyways, so I had a short nap until I got woken up by her, but then thankfully she left the train earlier than us, but I'm like, it doesn't matter, we're almost gonna get off soon anyway. But I was like, finally, I'm glad this person like leaves earlier, because I was not in a good mood getting woken up by her. But anyways, the 2.5 train ride, it was okay. It was a fast-moving train, but overall, the train, the China fast-speed train, I thought was quite good. I don't have complaints about it. Like, it wasn't like dirty or it wasn't like old-looking. I felt like it was a really decent train, and so I was impressed by that. And so finally we get to Hengdian station, but from Hengdian train station we had to take a taxi to go to our hotel. Of course we had to. The hotel wasn't right next to the station, so we had to take a taxi, and I think the taxi ride was about 30 minutes. Yeah, so it was just non-stop traveling, but finally we get to our hotel. I think at this point was 9:30 p.m. I know it wasn't super late, but it was late enough where it's like we need a crash soon, so it was like 9:30 to 10 p.m. we get there, and I'm just like, this is crazy. From the time I left Korea to now, finally I'm in my hotel in China, over 24 hours of nonstop traveling. So that's why I keep saying I don't know if I would do this again, right? But I was just so relieved. I'm finally in China. Let's go knock out, go to sleep, and then we have to wake up early. Regardless, we want to eat the hotel breakfast and also make the most of our day, exploring, and so got that story out of the way, and there's still more to talk about. And so let me read comments before I move on. So Barbara asked me food sites. I'll get into it. Okay, and then Barbara asked me spicy food or no. Okay, so the first meal we ate, at the train station, it was not spicy. So you could have chosen spicy food, but most of their food was not spicy, and so I did thought it was just really like good, clean feeling food. It was just really like refreshing. Yeah, that's what I mean. It was like very refreshing food, and so I really do recommend whatever that restaurant, but it's my friend's hometown food. It was really nice. Yeah, right. I think Barbara's saying about the person that woke me up. Yeah, it's crazy to not be considerate like that, but it happens. Maybe in China they don't grow up being considerate. I don't know, but I feel like it's common sense. If someone is sleeping next to you, why would you do that, right? But maybe some people don't have good common sense. I don't know. So yeah, I thought that was right. But I have met some nice Chinese people, so don't anyone who's Chinese out there thinking I don't like Chinese people. No, I'm half Chinese, okay? But of course there were some rude people out there, but I will tell some stories later of some nice people that I met in China. All right, so 1 second on that. Yes, and then now bedtime. Yes, Barbara. So now let's go to the next day of what happened. I think from this point on I could talk shorter stories. So Hengdian is why we decided to go to the city, is that it is where they film the historical ancient dramas of China, because they built replicas of palaces, of like how it was in the ancient times, how how the environment looks like. So they built all this so that dramas can film there, not having to use the real historical sites, right? And so they made this whole replica, and so Hengdian is famous for being this, like the filming sets of basically of all the historical ancient dramas in China. And so, of course, we wanted to visit it. Of course. So Hua Hua already visited once before, so this will be her second time. But for me, it's the first time. And so since I'm a newly fan of Chinese dramas, I'm like, of course we have to go. And so she was also very excited because last time she went alone, but this time is with a friend who both fangirling about it, right? And so she thinks this time with a friend would be more fun. I'm like, of course it will be. And so we are exploring the replica of the palaces, and then also like we know what it looks like from Lost You Forever was filmed in some of those things. And so she showed me that. I'm like, yes, I remember this was in the drama. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, this is where they filmed it. And so, it's just basically fangirling about the Chinese drama filming sets, and that we're feeling like we're in ancient China. It was really nice. I really liked it. And so yeah, we just saw around the replica sites, and then we also went into some stores and stuff, and then there were also like some entertainment stuff, like there were rides inside. Yeah, I thought that was interesting, like actual rides, but it wasn't anything too crazy, but it was impressive enough to be like, wow, I can't believe this is in Hongdian, and so there were like rides you could ride. And what else? Yeah, I got some souvenirs there. What else? Yeah, I think most of the time you're just walking around, just enjoying the sights and taking photos. Yeah, that's basically it. And so that was our first day, just looking around, things like that. And then at nighttime, I was really interested on how a Chinese bar is. Not because I want to, not what you're thinking, but I was interested on like how a bar looks like in China. But also I really wanted to know what kind of drinks they sell and stuff. And so that was worth it, because we got to try really cool, unique drinks that there's like their specialty, and it's like based off of the city of Hongdian or based off of Chinese dramas. It was just really cool to see the variety of drinks they had. And then I tried Chinese beer. I think it's my first time. I don't know, but whatever this Chinese beer was, it was pretty good. I was pretty impressed. I was like, wow. Yeah, and so just my first time trying all these Chinese liquor stuff, right? And yeah, but I was really impressed with their like customized cocktails, and just yeah, it was just really impressive to me. And so that's why we wanted to go to the bars and try out those things. And then also the atmosphere, how is it like being in a Chinese bar? It's nothing sketchy, or maybe we went to nice ones, I don't know, but it was nothing sketchy. But the thing is that I really hate about China, this is the one thing I hate about China, okay? So but no one get me wrong, China is awesome, but here's the one thing I hate about it. I hate that everyone smokes. Not everyone. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Almost everyone. Almost everyone smokes. So I am aware about that, about China and Chinese people in general. And but Korea too. All right, Korea too. Many Koreans smoke as well. All right. So I'm not saying who's worse. Okay, every single country, of course, are smokers. Okay. Now let me explain why I hate it more in China. Let me explain. So number one, China has less strict rules about smoking. So in Korea, for example, I know USA is way more stricter about smoking, so I appreciate that, but Korea is less strict than USA, but it's still pretty strict. So for example, you can never smoke indoors, even in a bar, in clubs. I mean, in the past they used to allow it in Korea, but now they banned it. And so now in Korea, bars, clubs, like anywhere indoors, you cannot smoke, which is the way it should be. Okay. And so yeah, so you cannot smoke. But then outdoors, it used to be where like it was more free outdoors of where you can smoke, but now Korea made it stricter that there's only designated areas outdoors where you can smoke. And so I've noticed that since I've lived in Korea for so long that now I don't really smell many smokers outdoors, because I go to sidewalks where it's illegal to smoke just freely on the sidewalk. Like you have to go to a designated area outdoors to smoke. And so the only time where I would accidentally smell smokers in Korea is if I go in those areas where is a designated smoking area. So that's how Korea has recently just gotten better about smoking laws, and so I do appreciate that. But some people still break the law. Sometimes I have caught people that smoke indoors and I report them, but I don't know if they find them. But it does still happen, of course. smoking indoors, or even some people smoking very openly on the sidewalk, which is not, you're not supposed to do that, but it does happen sometimes. People don't always follow the law, right? But in Korea, they're usually pretty good about that. And so just FYI, no country is perfect, but I appreciate that Korea is more strict about it. Now China, sorry, China is really less strict about it. All right. So the thing is, each city laws are different. So I realized that comparing from Hengdian with Shanghai. So let me just talk about Hengdian. Hengdian, when you're outdoors, and like even when I'm inside those palaces, the replicas, even though we're like outdoors and there's many people around and we're admiring, the replica palaces, you could have someone smoking right next to you. I'm like, that's terrible. Okay, so that's terrible. Like I think that also comes from the sense of these people, they don't care about the people around them. Like the person sitting next to me didn't care about me sleeping and was watching a video on her phone on loud, right? So sadly, those people in China, it seems many of them exist. And so, yeah, you would have someone just really close by. He's like, there's so many people around, but he doesn't care and he's smoking, So like the thing is, that's legal in China. That's legal. You're outdoors, but there's like no restriction on like where outdoors you have to smoke. You could smoke anywhere as long as it's outdoors. And I'm just like, so I really hated that almost everywhere I was going, even if I was outdoors, you would experience someone smoking. And so I'm pretty sure I have so much secondhand smoke in me when I was only in China for like 4 days. And so I was so disappointed by that. But I wore a mask as often as I could, of course, but sometimes I have to take off my mask to do something, and then I would just be smelling all this smoke, and I'm just like, my poor health, my lungs, I hope I'm gonna be okay. But then the Chinese people are like way worse if they smell that every single day. But okay, sorry. Okay, so anyways, I was really, really disappointed about that. And that's and yeah, so another thing, when I went to those bars in Hengdian, it is legal in Hengdian to smoke inside a bar. So I still liked going to the bars because I really wanted to try their special drinks, but all the bars, you can smoke in there. So, while I'm drinking and like I can't wear a mask and I'm smelling smoke all around me, I'm just like, so yeah. Just keep that in mind. If by chance, you're someone who like really, really can't stand smoke, China might not be best for you, So like until they have stricter laws, I don't know when. I know Korea, it was just like a few years ago, they got stricter laws about smoking. And so China, if they ever will, but I think China, there's so many people that like smoking. I think if there were stricter laws about smoking, they might riot about it, maybe. So I wonder if that's why they don't have strict laws about it. But yeah, that's also why I never want to live in China. I never had a plan to ever live in China, but that's definitely a very, very big thing, that I could never live in China until they have stricter laws about smoking. So please keep that in mind when you go travel to China. Now, I went to Shanghai, and I'm going to talk about that later, but I want to let you guys know, in Shanghai though, we went to one bar in Shanghai, and I was aware of like, hey, no one is smoking in here. And then Hua told me, oh, it's because Shanghai has their own laws about it. And I'm like, wow, so it depends on each city or each province. I'm not sure, but Shanghai, yeah, they at least made a law to not smoke inside bars. But I hope in general there's like never smoke indoors. I hope, but as far as I'm aware, in Shanghai, they do not smoke inside the bar, and so I was very happy about that. But for a city like Hengdian, yeah, it's more relaxed there. And so keep that in mind as well. Each Chinese city has their own laws, and so, but in general, outdoors, everyone can smoke freely outdoors, and it's, yeah, so that's the biggest thing I hate about China. And so that's also why I don't feel a big desire to travel to China again, unless I really, 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 really have to. I don't know what reason it would be, but yeah, it would have to be a really, really big reason for me to go to China again. And so that's why I wanted to make the most of this China trip, since I had a feeling maybe it would be my last time going to China. So yeah, so where was I going with my story? Yes, so this is the first day in Hengdian. Yeah, we went to bars to try their drinks, and me and Hua got a little tipsy, but we were fine. It's okay. So we we had some things happen. Nothing happened, but I mean, no, something did happen, but we're fine. Okay, but during drinking and but we were fine. Okay, we're fine. Thankfully, we had each other. We're fine. Okay, and she's a native Chinese person. If anything happened, yeah, don't worry. So we drank responsibly, but we had some funny things happen to us. Let's put it that way. But we are fine. Okay, we're fine. Okay, so that was the first day. Okay, let me read comments and then I'll talk about the next day. Abara says she loved that. Sounds like a Disneyland. Sounds like Disneyland. It's not exactly like Disneyland. Definitely not exactly like Disneyland, but they make it as fun as possible. Like not only seeing the replica buildings and stuff, but yeah, there's like some rides in there that are indoors. It was indoor rides of like doing 1 second, sorry, of like just like seeing these like I don't know, it was I don't know how to explain it, but it was just interesting. That's all I have to say. It was interesting. Oh, and there was one ride where like we saw like the history of how this emperor united China. I don't know if that's the correct way to say it, but like China used to be like different areas, and then this one emperor was able to unite everyone, and so we saw like like things like that. So it was just very interesting. I really did like it though. Yeah. Yes, I was drinking. I mean, you guys have seen me drink before. I mean, it's not a big deal. And I'm over 21. Don't worry. Okay. Anyways. Oh, but no one checked my ID in China when I was drinking. But of course, I do not look like I'm in high school or middle school. Of course not. But yeah, I did find that interesting. No one asked for my ID. Okay. Anyways. Barbara, I'm so glad you stopped smoking. I don't judge. Like if I hear anyone who's smoking or but whatever it is, the only thing I say is that I always hope that you can do your best to stop smoking. That's what I say to anyone. As much as I hate smoking, as you guys heard how passionate I was, but yeah, but I know quitting is very difficult, and so I am only here as a supporter of like I hope you have the will and the drive to quit smoking, and you know why it's important to quit smoking. And so Barbara, hearing that you stopped smoking is so good for me to hear, and so I'm really happy to hear that, because that is not easy. And so I really want to say thank you so much, and like you just good job, buddy. Okay, so I'm just really happy to hear something like that. So good job, buddy. Barbara says, I bet you washed head to toe after smell. Of course I did. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Every time I get back, like I don't go on my bed because I know I'm like disgusting. And so I have to shower before I get on my bed, when I was in China. So yeah, of course I did. Yeah. And then Barbara says, guys trying to pick you guys up. No, nothing like that happened. No, nothing like that happened. But we did talk to the bartenders and stuff, because I honestly had a question about the drink, so I would talk to the bartenders about it. But my Mandarin is not amazing, but it's pretty okay. But I had Hua to help me if I needed, but I would use my basic Mandarin skills to talk to them, because I was honestly curious about drinks. So we had some interesting conversations with people in the bars, and just when we were back at the hotel, just me and Hua just being silly. That's it. Don't think too much about it, okay? It's just lots of silly things just happen, but it was fun. That's all I have to say. But no, guys, no. Oh wait, but I did have a weird experience. Okay, so when we were walking down this street, and so me and Hua usually would be walking together, right? But then she really wanted to sit down, and there was like a bench area there, so she just quickly like went faster than me and went to go sit down. And so I'm walking by myself and like following her, right? And then suddenly, right at this moment, like I was only seconds that I got separated from her, right? Then suddenly this guy come next to me. So let me tell you what happened. So this guy comes next to me, and then he's talking to me in Chinese first. And so I want to pretend I don't know what he's saying, because I was like really shocked. I'm like, are you kidding me? Hua just left for a few seconds, and this guy comes next to me. Are you kidding me? And so from what I can make out of what he said to me in Chinese, is that he was like asking me like maybe where am I going, or like, oh, are you interested to go to this place? And so I think what his job is try to convince me to like go to one of these like restaurants or stores, to give them business. So he's not like hitting on me or anything. I felt like it was to yeah, as like what do we like promoting whatever store or thing is like he wants me to go there. And so so how I deflected, I just say to him in English, I'm like, I don't know what you're saying, even though I did know what you were saying, but I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. I only know English. And then this guy, he tries talking to me in English, and I'm just like, but his English was not good, all right? It was just like super basic. And so he's like, oh, okay, so he like talking to me in super basic English, but I'm just like, I'm okay, since he assumes I understand him, of course, right? But I'm just like, I'm okay. And so he keeps saying like, oh, where are you from, or like blah, like trying to make conversation with me. I'm just like, I'm okay. So I just keep saying that because I don't know what else to really respond to him about. I don't want to make conversation with him, right? So I'm just like, I'm okay. He's like, you're okay. I'm like, I'm okay. And then I just try to walk as quickly as I could to where Hua was sitting. And so I go finally closer to her, and then finally the guy like left me. And so I sit down and I say to Hua, I'm like, Hua, did you just see what happened to me? But she was not worried. For some reason she wasn't. I mean, we were not far away from each other, right? But yeah, she didn't feel worried enough where like she had to like come in and save me, right? And so she most likely was observing me, and I'm just like, Wawa, you weren't worried about what was happening to me? She's like, no, I felt like you were okay, and I'm just like, okay. And so I told her what was happening between me and this stranger guy. And then she said to me, well, you're wearing sunglasses and a mask. And so she said, like, you looking that way, it kind of makes you look like you're a celebrity. I'm like, excuse me? Why would a celebrity be walking the streets here? Are you kidding me? But she told me that's probably why he approached me, because I looked, mysterious, and like maybe I was an important person. And so wanting to make me go to that restaurant or store because I could be a celebrity. But so, yeah, because I asked Hua, I wore sunglasses and a mask, and I wonder why did that make him want to approach me when I look that way. And so yeah, that's when Hua said that to me, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. And so maybe me speaking in English, I wonder if that made him feel like I was a celebrity as well. I don't know, but and so yeah, so he did not hit on me, but it was still very, very weird how that happened in the few seconds when I got separated from my friend, right? So this is why I say do not travel alone, okay? Like, I wonder if I travel there alone, like how much more issues or like things happen to me. I don't know. And so that's yeah. Do not travel alone to an unknown country. I mean, you could be very comfortable in the country. If you feel you're comfortable enough to travel there alone, of course you can. But if you don't feel well versed in the country and whatnot, I would never recommend anyone to travel alone, okay? And so I just set an example as to why traveling with someone, even if it's a girl, okay, we're just two girls, right? But even just traveling with someone is still better than alone. All right. I remember back in the day I traveled alone, and I felt I was okay. I didn't have anything crazy happen to me, but I think I was really lucky that when I traveled alone before. So nowadays, maybe people are more creepy, maybe. And so I think, yeah, just always be careful. Always be careful. Okay. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Okay. Oh, no, it's Barbara, no romance. Sadly, no romance. Of course not. And then Barbara says, oh my gosh, as long as he didn't try to kidnap you, that would have been crazy. Yeah, I mean, he technically wanted to quote unquote kidnap me to go to that restaurant or store or something, but no, of course not. I was not gonna follow a stranger, of course not. And so yeah, that was really crazy. And then Barbara saying, I'm too chicken to travel alone. That's good. In my opinion, that's good. Do not travel alone for your safety in anything, all right? And I just gave an example. Legit, it was only a few seconds when I got separated from her. It was crazy. And then I don't know if he was like watching us the whole time, but he was really quick and like approaching me to talk to me. I was just like, it was okay. Let me continue the story. So that ends the first day in Hengdian, all right? So now we're into the second day. And so I don't know if you guys can see the thumbnail of this live stream, but that image is me. So that's me sitting next to a pond. And so if you see me like how I look so fancy, so this is what we did on the second day. We got to dress up in Chinese ancient costume wear. So if you have seen the Chinese historical ancient dramas, the clothes they wear, those kinds of clothes, that's the clothes that we wore. And I just felt so cool because the settings were in the replica of the historical buildings, right? And so I just felt like, of course we have to try out the costumes, of course we should. And so at first Hua Hua did not want to do it. She's like, I don't know if I'm really interested to try it. Like, she said she tried it before a couple years ago, not in Hongdian but in another city, and so she was kind of feeling, I don't know if I want to do it again. So that's why she was hesitant about it. But I was like, oh, it's no fun if you don't do it with me. But I really wanted to do it. And so I'm like, okay, even if Hua Hua doesn't do it with me, I still want to do it. But I don't know what happened. She just told me last minute, hey, okay, I'm going to do it too. I'm like, what happened? So I don't know. I think she saw a dress that she really liked, and I think that convinced her to do it. I think, but she didn't really give me a good reason. Not a good reason. She didn't give me a clear reason. That's what I mean. She didn't give me a clear reason as to what changed her mind, but I think in general she really liked that dress, and so that convinced her to dress up with me. And I was like, good, thank goodness I'm not alone. And so we got dressed up, and so not only did we wear the ancient style clothes, but we also got our makeup done by them, and they also did our hairstyle the way that they did in ancient times as well, and they just made us look super pretty. And so once it was all done, I'm like, dang, I look really pretty. so I do not mean to be narcissistic or anything like that. Like, in general, of my looks, I know I'm not ugly, but I'm not one to say, oh, I'm a really pretty person. That is not my style. I would never say that naturally like that. Like, that really sickens me just saying that. But if I'm made up a certain way and, like, good makeup, good styling, if it looks pretty, I'm gonna say, wow, I look pretty, all right? And so I was really impressed. I looked really pretty. And so the person who was doing my makeup and the styling, she says to me, oh, do you like it? Like, or no, what did she say to me exactly? What did she say to me exactly? Okay, no. I think she said to me, you look very pretty. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I cannot handle this compliment. Like, I understand I do look good, but I even getting a compliment like that, like, I didn't know how to handle it. And I'm just like, I cannot accept your compliment. But so I just say back to her, I think you make me look pretty. So I say that back to her, you made it so pretty, so because of you. And she said back to me, oh, thank you. And I'm like, no, for real, you make me look so pretty. And so that's how I deflected it, basically. But she really was so talented. She made me look super pretty. And so anyways, yeah, so I was glad to say it like that. And so me and Hua Hua, we're all dressed up super pretty, right? And so now we're walking through this other palace thing. It's not the same as yesterday. So we walked through this new palace thing, and part of the deal package of doing the ancient costume wear, we also got to have our photos taken by a professional photographer. I'm like, sure, let's do it. Okay, so because it's part of the package. And so we go over to meet the photographer. So Hua Hua has her own photographer, I have my own photographer, and as we're going about taking photos, I just thought was just very interesting, because of course my photographer, he didn't know English, and so we did our best with my limited Chinese to understand what he wanted me to do and stuff. But overall, like, they made us pose certain ways that I thought was very interesting, and they made us hold props to make it look interesting. Excuse me. So overall, that experience, I just thought, wow, it just was very interesting. And then we go once we finish, we go see how our photos look like. And I'm like, dang, yeah, you're a pretty good photographer. And so I was very impressed with how the photography looked like. And so the thing is, they do Photoshop, but in our package deal, we were only able to pick 3 photos to have Photoshop, and then the rest of the other photos will not be Photoshop. But you could pay extra to have all your photos Photoshop. But I'm like, nah, I'm not. What am I gonna do with these photos? Like, I'm okay, like, with as much as the package can give me. That I'm okay with that, and I do not want to pay extra. And so I just got the photos that I chose, whatever the amount I'm allowed to get, and then 3 photos that are Photoshop, and I picked the 3 that I really like the best Photoshop. And so Guys, Photoshop is crazy. Okay, so not only did I felt pretty already, but the Photoshop makes you look like too perfect. Okay, so I'm like, Photoshop is really scary. That it makes you look. I mean, the thing is, I can tell that it still looks like me, but it makes you look too perfect, and so that makes me think celebrities must use those things all the time. So if you think like, oh my gosh, this guy is too perfect, or this girl like they look too perfect, like Photoshop is a real thing, and also filters. Okay, filters is a really real thing. Even in videos and stuff, I say it all the time, like this is a filter, okay, but I still look like me though. And so anyways, yeah, so just it's wild. And so when I was like seeing everything, I'm like, yeah, but it was cool. Okay, so for this costume I'm in and looking pretty, and like, so of course I want to remember it in photos. And so that's how we did that. And so after that was all done, then me and Hua are walking around these sets, and we take photos by ourselves. We're still in costume, so we take photos of ourselves, and we're like doing like silly things of like, let's take a photo here. And so me by that pond, this thumbnail, Hua took that photo of me, and so that's not a professional photographer a photo that we got. And so I just saw a pond that had lotus flowers on it, and I really like lotus flowers, and so I was like, oh my god, I gotta take a photo here. And so that's what my thumbnail is, yeah, of me. Hua took that photo. So anyway, so that was cool. And then we saw other things, around the sets, whatever new things we didn't see. There was another section that was like that's Hong Kong. Like they built a replica of a Hong Kong street, because back in the day they were filming a lot of Hong Kong style dramas or movies or something, and so that's why that's there. But then still, even until now, people are still using sets of that Hong Kong thing, and so I thought that was cool. But it didn't have like Hong Kong food or anything, so it was only the sets. It's supposed to replicate Hong Kong back in the day. So we saw that, and that's it. And yeah, we had to return our ancient wear after by the deadline. So we gave that all back, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm not pretty anymore, but it's okay. But no, I mean, I'm not like super pretty, I mean. Okay, but anyways, it was like very a weird feeling. I still had my makeup on, but then without the hair accessories and without the dress, I'm just like, wow, it just feels different. It just felt really different. But it was cool to be like in that like fantasy kind of feeling, I guess. And so that was just, it was just really fun, and also because of being big Chinese drama fans, it was just, it's just more special that way. So anyways, that was the end of our second day. Yeah, I believe we did not go drinking. I don't believe. I don't think so. Yeah, on the second day, no. Yeah, that's right. We hung out in the hotel and just fangirling about other things. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Let me read comments before I go on. Okay, love. Oh yeah, did you already see the thumbnail? Thank you for liking the thumbnail. Okay. Barbara says I could use a bit of Photoshop. Everyone, even celebrities, everyone can use Photoshop, and you would look perfect. All right, that's the reason Photoshop exists. It makes you look perfect. But even if you're not perfect, all of us are still beautiful people. Okay, we do not need it. Okay, but it's just if you want to look like more perfect, that's what Photoshop is, but we do not need it. All right, okay. Anyways, Barbara says, will you share photos with your family? Yeah, I should. I haven't showed it to them yet, but no, I'll show them later. Yeah, I will. Okay, so now into the third day. So this third day, we're going to Shanghai. So yeah, so the trip is quite short. So yeah, so Hengdian only for 2 days. Now we're going to Shanghai. And so going to Shanghai, we had to take that long train ride again, but that's okay. And then we get to Shanghai, and then we get to the hotel. All was okay. Shanghai is a pretty, what do we call that? It's a pretty, it's a big city. Yeah, it's a big city. So it's a big city. So it's very easy to get through, to get around in subway. In Hengdian, we had to take taxi to get to places. Like it doesn't have, subway or anything, and so yeah, so it was a lot easier to travel in Shanghai by ourselves. And by the time we get to our hotel, it was around 3 p.m. I think 3 p.m. Yeah. And so I we had to do some stuff. We ate, and then just hung out, and then we shopped around, but we didn't like explore to any tourist attraction. It was already 3 p.m. What else could we do? And so we were just exploring around our hotel area. And yeah, that's it. Nothing much. And then, yeah, the thing is though, the next day I'm flying to Korea. That's the thing. So my flight going to Korea was at 11 a.m. I think so, 11 a.m. So I had to leave the hotel pretty early to make sure I get there in time before my flight leaves. So yeah, so we couldn't really do much since my flight tomorrow was in the morning. But Hua Hua was not flying together with me. She was still gonna stay in China because she wanted to meet her parents the last few days in China of her China trip. And I'm like, cool. So yeah, it all worked out. I had to go back to Korea by that time, while she was able to stay longer and then went to go hang out with her parents. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, and I already talked about in Shanghai. So our last night in Shanghai, that's right, we went to a bar. It was close to our hotel. We went to a bar, and that's when I found out they do not allow smoking there. But at this bar, we had a pretty funny time with the bartenders. And so I don't know, I don't know why we're talking to the bartenders, but I was honestly curious about how they make my drink. So they also make their own customized cocktails. I'm asking them about the drink, and it's so interesting to me. And then we just got into talking of like, where is this guy from? And where's this guy from? And then they were asking to us like, oh, are you guys students, or are you whatever, blah, blah. So getting to know each other. But the bartenders, they're all younger than us. Of course they are. Okay, I mean, me and Hua Hua age, and so they're younger than us, and then just being silly because they're bartenders and blah blah, and just yeah. So that was like a very like nice ending to our China trip. Getting to know these Chinese guys making our drinks and stuff. So yeah, it was just very cool. Chill time, and no creepy things happened to me in Shanghai, thank goodness. So the thing is, I had to take subway by myself to go. Oh my gosh, yeah. So sorry. So I had to tell this story. So I had to take subway by myself from our hotel to the Shanghai airport, and it wasn't too long of a subway ride, under an hour. And so I felt fine that I can go by myself, but this was technically my first time being alone traveling in China, right? But it was just straight to the airport. Surely nothing will happen to me. And also Shanghai, sure, usually no one would be creepy on the subway. Surely not, right? And so anyways, the thing is, I kind of injured myself. I didn't want to talk about it, but to tell the story, I have to say that. So I kind of injured myself, right? But I'm fine. So I kind of injured myself, and the thing is, when you're going through subway, there's lots of stairs, and sometimes, sadly, they don't have escalators for these stairs, and it happens. Korea is the same way, and so I did my best to carry my suitcase through these stairs when I had to, but if I could, I tried to find the escalator or elevator. But sometimes, for convenience and for timing, I had to use the stairs. But it was definitely hard on me to get through these stairs with my injury. But bad luck was also with me, because when I was at these stairs, there was no one around me that I could ask to help me. And so Hua Hua said to me, you can ask someone to help you with your suitcase. I'm like, are you sure it's like gonna be okay to just randomly ask someone in China to help me? But she says I should ask someone to help me, and I'm just like, okay. And so I had that in mind, except every time when I got to a stair, and there was, and it's basically every time I got to a stair, there was no one around me to help me. But that's also might be a good thing. That's why I had no like creepy people around me, right? So anyways, but still, I couldn't have anyone to help me. And then at some point, finally, there was a stairs that I had to go down, but there was no escalator. And then thankfully there was a lot of people around me at this time, and so I just looked behind me, and there's a random guy. I don't know how old he was, but definitely not super young, not super old. I don't know, but it was just randomly, there was a guy behind me, and I was just like, hey. So I say to him in Chinese, I'm so sorry, but can you help me bring my suitcase down the stairs? And he, without hesitation, just helped me with my suitcase and bring it down the stairs. I'm just like, that is too nice. And so I don't know if every Chinese person is that nice, but I do want to say at least one nice thing is like the Chinese guy was no hesitation, like grabbed my bag and then brought it down. And then as we were walking down, he said to me, oh, are you going to the airport? I'm like, yeah, I am. And he said, okay, you gotta go. You gotta take that train. And so he even went out of his way and like told me, go take that train to go to the airport. I'm like, okay, thank you. And so I was really, really really impressed by that. So I hope many Chinese people are as nice as him, but we don't know, right? Because I met a rude one on my train and rude ones that are smoking everywhere, right? But then I asked a guy to help me and he was very nice about it, and then even told me which train to take to the airport. I was just like, that's really cool. And so I ended that on a nice note, and then I had other nice notes I ended on, like the immigration worker complimented on my Chinese, and things like that. So overall, when I was flying back from Shanghai to Korea, it was a very nice warm feeling I was getting all day, and not no mean people or anything. So it was a really, really nice end to the China trip, and that concludes it. Finally, after 100 minutes, I finally finished all my stories. Right now it's 11:05 p.m. Not terrible. All right, so that concludes the story, and I'm glad I finally told you guys. I thought there were other things to say. Well, you guys remember I like a new guy, the Chinese actor singer. His name is Tan Jianci, right? And so I know that's really hard to say if you don't know Chinese, but we can call him by his English name. I don't know, but it's really his English name, but he goes by this as a singer, and so it's his initials JCT. So JC is from his first name Jianci, and then T is his last name Tan, and so he doesn't do TJC, he does JCT. So yeah, if maybe from now on, so that you guys don't have to memorize his Chinese name. And so yeah, we can just call him JCT, would probably be easier. So yeah, so this new guy in my life, right? So when I went to China, I was so curious, would I be able to see his ads anywhere? Because I know he does a lot of brands stuff. I know he does because of when I researched about him. And so I was so curious if I would see his ads. And so in the Shanghai train station, I did not see his ads, but then I saw his ad in Hong Kong airport. That's the thing. So when I was in Hong Kong, I was shocked. His ad is for one of the brands he works with. There was an ad of him in the Hong Kong airport, and I was so excited. And so that was my first time seeing his ad ever, in person. And it was a really, really nice looking ad of him. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And so he is, sorry, sorry. I got too excited. Sorry. Okay, so I was really excited seeing his ad for the first time in Hong Kong. Yeah, so that was really, really cool. And so then that made me think, of course, he must have more ads in China, right? And so I was like on the lookout to find his ads in China. And so I saw his ad at least once a day, which was really, really cool. Yeah, it was really, really cool. And so anytime I saw his ad, I'm just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And so yeah, so I'm still a big fan of his. And how do I feel about him compared to the K-pop singers I like? It's very complicated. I talked about it in the last live stream, but yeah, let's end on that note, okay? And then I'll talk about more wrapping up things. And so everything about my trip to 4 different countries in the past 6 months. That just happened to me, and so I'm glad to finally tell my stories. And then the next live stream, I don't think I'll see you guys for a while because I have a lot of things I have to do from now until like mid-July, in all honesty. So I don't think I can do a live stream again anytime soon. So I just want to say that as well. If you don't see me for a long time, don't worry. But I did say in my last live stream, I will be moving to a new place soon. So that's the main reason why I'm gonna be more busy soon. And so who knows? So either I can do a live stream one more time before I move. I hope so, but that's my hope, but I don't know for sure. Or maybe the next live stream you see me will be in my new house, right? So yeah, so that's all to say on that. Okay, that's it. All right. Oh, I should share it with my dad. I don't think my dad will be that impressed. Because my dad is Chinese, right? But he's from Hong Kong. But still, he's very American. So I don't think he'll be like, oh, you look so cool in Chinese. No, he's probably going to be like, oh, okay. That's my feeling how he will react to it. Like, he's Chinese, but he's not like, it's like, so like, yeah, he's too American, in my opinion, that he wouldn't think too much about it. That's my guess on him. But my mom, I think she would really like it. I mean, of course, why wouldn't she like me looking so pretty, right? So I think my mom would just like it because I look so pretty, and that's it. Yeah, but my dad would just be like, okay. And then my sister and brother, Yeah, I think they react like my dad too. They'll just be like, "Oh, okay." That's how I feel. They're gonna react to it. Um, yeah, girlfriend, I was only there for a few days. Yeah, yeah. So Hua Hua was able to stay there longer than me, but for me, I had to come back to Korea because I had work to do the next day. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, but the thing is, I'm very content to only stay in China for those few days. In my opinion, I felt it was enough. I did everything I wanted to do, and as I said earlier, I really hated smelling smoke everywhere. So I felt like just for the sake of my health as well, that was the limit that I could stay there. Yeah, yeah. Um yeah, they have subways in Shanghai. Yeah, in Shanghai, and I'm not sure about other cities, but Hengjian doesn't have subways. So yeah, it depends on the city. One gentleman, that's right, one gentleman, and then I met a lot of nice airport staff in the Shanghai airport. Yeah, yeah. Um how long going back to Korea, and do you get jet lag? Oh, so the thing is, it's only a 1 hour difference from China with Korea. So I didn't feel, yeah, I don't feel that much difference when it's just 1 hour. And also, how long going back to Korea? So from Shanghai to the Incheon airport, it was quite a short flight. I think it was less than 2 hours long. 1.5 hours? I think 1.5 hours. It's really, really fast from Shanghai to Incheon airport. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. Okay, take my time. Take my time. About what? About what? But I need to end quickly. So 1 second. Barbara says you'll keep us updated before you go and after your salad. I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, that's my hope. And yeah, Dad's. Yeah, happy Father's Day, by the way. Right? Isn't today Father's Day? Happy Father's Day. Yeah, I'm mentioning about my dad briefly. Yeah, funny, funny. So wrapping things up, yeah, you guys are aware I like a new Chinese actor slash singer, because I know he's mainly an actor, but he's also a singer because he's gonna be making his next music album soon, and I really hope it's soon. I really hope so. So I'm really looking forward to his new music album, but I'm also looking forward to all of his dramas, of course. And so he's working really, really hard. And funnily, I don't know what he's doing, but he left today to go to Milan. What is he doing in Milan? Is it like some kind of fashion show going there? But the thing is, I do know he collabs with luxury brand fashion brands. So yeah, I assume he must be doing something. But anyways, right now he's probably in Milan already. I think. I don't know. And he must be, right? So anyways, yeah. So Tan Jianci, JCT, he's really busy. So he just wrapped up filming in Hengjian. So when I was in Hengjian, he was there too. So he just wrapped up filming a drama there, and then now he's like busy doing lots of stuff. So yeah, he's a really busy guy, yeah, I'm his fan, but I don't think too much into it because I don't know. But I do really like him, and so that's a live stream I have to save for another day. A live stream where I only talk about him and like talking about why do I like him, and then why did I become his fan? Because a part of me, I'm still not sure either, but I do really like him. I do. And then compared to the K-pop singers I like, it's different. So I do feel like he's a little bit ahead because I really like that he's the same age as me. That's the only difference that makes him a little bit ahead of the K-pop singers I like, who are all younger than me. So except for that, I mean, I still like everyone a lot. Yeah, and so going into Giyeon's solo album that's gonna come out soon. I'll look into that later. Yeah, so with the K-pop singers I like, I decided I don't go to their music shows anymore because it's just so much time and effort to go to a music show, and these days I seriously don't have time and effort to do it. So sadly, I do not think I can ever go to another music show again. But for their concerts, I will always do my best to go to their concert. As long as I can get a ticket, I'm going. So I do my best to go to their concert, and then I keep up with some of their content that they do. I mean, of course, their comebacks, yeah, if they release a new album, I want to hear their songs and stuff, and so I'll support them, things like that. But I don't feel like I am as hardcore as I used to be. Like, I'm not gonna buy all their merch. Not that I used to, but I mean, I'm really like gonna not really buy their merch as much as I used to. Yeah, and I just like them as people most of all, and then I support their jobs. And yeah, I think that's it. And I think I feel the same way about that with JCT. You know, I want to support his work as much as I can, but there's only so much I can do because his work is in China and I'm in Korea. So I definitely can do more for the K-pop singers than I could for JCT. Um, hmm. But I think for now I'm enjoying seeing JCT more because there's so many dramas that he's done that I have to watch. And so I really like watching him as an actor. He's a really, really amazing actor. It's just mind-blowing to me. So I really like to see his acting and these dramas. And like not all the dramas he's in are good stories, you know, but I'm okay to watch it as long as it's an okay story. But Lost You Forever is definitely the best one. But the rest of his other dramas I think are just okay stories, but it's still enough for me to watch, and that's okay. And then I really like him as a singer. That's why I'm really excited for his next music album. And I think that's it, right? I think that's it. So that's why I can't say I'm too hardcore about anything, but I definitely get pretty excited when it comes to JCT. Like I really was so excited seeing his ads in China, and yeah, also in Hong Kong. It was just like really like, oh my gosh, it was so cool because I would never get that experience in Korea, right? So it was just really nice to fangirl about him in those countries. Um, but then now I'm in Korea and it's just you know it's just okay. Yeah, that's it. So that's overall how I feel about everything. And you guys can look forward to when that live stream when I get to talk about only Tanjianci JCT. So yeah, so you guys can know more in depth about him. I want you guys to know about everything about him so that you guys can know why do I like him so much. Okay, so like yeah, so I want it to be like, you know, for all you guys out there to know more about this new guy in my life and like why do I like him, and also I'm also gonna figure out why do I like him. But anyways, yeah, that would be a long live stream one of these days. I don't know when, but I'll do my best one of these days. Okay, that's it. Okay, finally let's go. So yes, happy Father's Day again to everyone, to your dads, grandpas, and anyone out there who's a father. Happy Father's Day. Barbara as well, you've slowed down on words too, and that's okay. No, there's no judgment on whatever we're doing as fans, as long as we're doing things that we're happy with doing. That's most important. Okay. So so Barbara tells me you're into Kim Bum. So yeah, so she's telling me Korean actors. So Kim Bum, Dongwook, and Jisung. Awesome. And you can't pick just one. Awesome. Yeah, I've never been super into a Korean actor the more I think about it, because I do like some, you know, when I saw them in dramas I'm like, oh yeah, he's cool, but then yeah, I don't think I've ever become like a fan of a Korean actor before. That's the thing. Yeah, but this is my first time with a Chinese actor and singer. I'm a huge fan of his, which is crazy. He's overall the first Chinese celebrity I ever became a fan of. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, I know, that's crazy. And that's why I have to do a live stream and talk about him to let you guys know why am I into this guy, because I still don't really know either, but anything can happen, right? Yeah. Anyways, so yeah. But anyways, all the actors you said, Barbara, I like them too. Yeah, but none of them I ever became like a fan of. Yeah. Okay, so thank you for everyone who watches live or watches on replay. I appreciate all you guys whenever we can chat, and you know, you guys don't mind listening to my long stories. 112 minutes, how long is that? Like an hour and 40 minutes? But I'm pretty proud of myself. This didn't go on for like 3 hours. So thank goodness. So it's okay. All right. So yeah, as always, be safe, be careful, be healthy. Don't worry, be happy, stay happy. Take care. Good day, good night. Have a good rest of the weekend. Until next time. Okay, until next time. Okay, bye.